Right, welcome back to another video of writing Gothic. And today this is going to be a kind of a quick one because I just kind of want to talk about something I was thinking about. It was actually a couple of weeks ago, but it's about the Gothic genres. Remember, I mentioned to you the different Gothic genres: Gothic romance, Gothic horror, Gothic historical, Gothic science fiction, Gothic steampunk, Gothic fantasy, Gothic thriller, and Gothic cozy slash paranormal mystery. Right? Talked about those. But how do you incorporate these into your stories? So here's a good example. Let's take Alien, for instance. I know I just chatted about this, and even Alien Romulus, two great examples of this. Um, let's say you're writing a science fiction story and it's not popping. For some reason, you've done all the world building and you populate it with characters that are believable, and you have tech worked out, because sometimes the tech is really um, fanciful. Like in Star Wars, you don't know how engines work, you don't know how gravity works, etc. In Star Trek as well. Oh, we have mag boots, or something like The Expanse, where it is very practical and where they worked with engineers, and you can. There's always a reason for the science behind the technology, right? But let's say all that's not work. Let's say you've got all that, but it's still not working. So maybe you could add a Gothic element to that to help it work. So maybe it goes from science fiction. So maybe you just add long corridors or something like that. Or again, like Alien did, you add like a creature element to something, right? You isolate the characters somehow. Again, like if you look at Alien, that's exactly what they did. Ridley Scott added the isolation because one, they're in space, right? And then he added the element of, oh, then now they're on this planet, and then now they're back on the spaceship and they have no way to get away from this creature that they picked up, right? So then all of a sudden it's gone from just a science fiction film to a Gothic science fiction film. So you can kind of sneak the tropes in there. You don't have to like layer them on, like slather them like with butter. You can just kind of add an element of these tropes to your stories. So let's say you have a thriller and there's something that's just not quite sticking for you. So maybe you add in like the spooky house or a protagonist that you would see in a Gothic sort of story that like the maid or the person who you don't know what their motivation is. So there's lots of ways to layer in Gothic tropes into your stories. And one way you can start is just by mixing and matching the genre. So again, like say you've got fantasy or historical fiction or something, and you're like, I just don't know. So then maybe you change a couple of elements, and then it becomes Gothic historical, or Gothic science fiction, or Gothic fantasy, right? Oh. Gothic thriller, etc. And I give you another good example. So I recently wrote a book called Stoker's Mill. Go check it out. It's a cozy paranormal mystery. I'd never written one before. But I know about the Gothic, right? Wanted to write a story where somebody didn't die, and it was like small town characters. But I thought, well, how can I add an element that will keep me interested and maybe keep the readers interested? So I added the Gothic element of my protagonist, who's a horror writer. She lives in basically what is a haunted mansion. There's a ghost, and this is not a spoiler. This says it right on the cover and the blurb. But basically, she lives in a Gothic mansion. So there's that Gothic element. And then there's a ghost in the story, which also then turns that genre from just a cozy mystery to a Gothic, cozy, paranormal mystery, right? So you see how I kind of layered those in there. I mean, I could have told the story without her living in a mansion, in this Gothic house. And I could have told the story without it being haunted. She could have just been looking for some secrets uncovered by some ancestors or whatever. But I decided to layer in those elements, keep me as the writer interested. Hopefully the reader will be interested too. So again, this is just something to think about. Again, if you're writing a story and you're trying to figure out how to kind of make it pop, or how to just maybe give it just a little extra something, like they say, like some extra sauce, try either layering in some Gothic tropes. And I'll talk more about the tropes one-on-one in another video. Try layering in some Gothic tropes, or try maybe mixing and maxing genre elements. Again, you can make something science fiction or Gothic science fiction. So there's some thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for listening and watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.